off by just welcoming everyone. So this is Thursday. It's Thursday, March the 19th. It looks like we've got people from all over. I'm just north of Toronto, Canada. And certainly it's been quite an interesting week for everyone here in the city. We've been asked to stay at home, socially distance ourselves. And, you know, I think a lot of folks, at least with my clients, have been trying to navigate how do we work remote this week? And how do we keep our organizations and businesses flowing? So with that, I want to welcome you. I'm here to be of service. And every week, every day this week, there's been a different flow. Some days we've talked a little bit about virtual facilitation. Other days we've talked about how do you coach virtually. And yet other days it's been about building a virtual or remote toolkit. So with that, want to use your questions. Just give a quick show of hands if you came with some like burning yearnings or burning questions that you'd like us to explore today. Anyone come with questions that they want to look at?
We just came for answers.
Came for answers. Okay, excellent. And here comes some more folks. So welcome. Jaylene's got a bit of a question. I'll say hi to Sue. Welcome to you. So Jean wants answers. Jean, you're working in a remote team space. What's top of mind for you today and your team?
Oh, just I'm getting reacclimated to the remote. I had taken on this opportunity where it was more in person. I work with a team that is not used to being remote. So they're going through some struggles and some challenges right now. So I'm just refreshing with Jen on how to get back into supporting them better.
And I think this week it's been a bit of a shock for many. You know, we have the practical side of how do we work remote? Do we have the technology? Do I have the privacy? Do I have kids running in? What do I need to do in order, you know, luckily my son is now 15, so he's pretty on this. He knows it. He's like, yeah, Mom, I'll see you. I'll see you at the end of the day. And then we have dinner together. But, you know, I think for many, it's like a whole new world. So one thing I've been trying to reinforce like every day this week is what can we be doing? And I think for many, it's about creating a pause point. And so I've got a bit of an exercise to share with us in the next few minutes. But as you step into your business day, if you're supporting teams or others, think about how you can be making sure that you're creating a bit of a pause. So I want to welcome Patty and Beth. It's so good to see a growing number of folks. We're just getting started, and I'd ask the group, you know, what questions do you have? So we had a question about remote teams. The other thing that I'd say to Jean and I'd say to all of us, you know, people are hungry right now for connection, especially if we can't move. And this is where we as coaches, most of you are coaches, I think we have a very specific skill set that can be of benefit to the greater world in terms of bringing people together, fostering conversation, leaving a space for, you know, acknowledging what is, but also helping people look at what's possible in this new current reality. So Jaylene, welcome to you. You're starting your day, and Heather, I see you've given a hand, so we'll come to Heather after Jaylene. Jaylene, what have you come to the call wanting or needing?
Well, I'm going to be offering a similar call in that it's just sort of open to anyone who wants to attend to help people in dealing with the stress that's caused from the coronavirus outbreak. So I think actually, as I was thinking about it after I raised my hand, I think you're going to answer this naturally because I'm just going to observe how you handle this with, you know, people are not a part of a group. They're just a variety are showing up. So I think we'll naturally answer my question.
And like, how do you hold the space? How do you hold the space for people who are coming in? Like, we've got more people dropping in. So welcome to you. And I hope that this really does, you know, inspire you to use your skills as a coach. We're going to go to Heather, and thanks for joining us today. Heather, what's your big question mark today?
Hi. Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. I took a course with you some years ago, and so it's nice to reconnect. I will be using Zoom more in my own work. So part of it is just, I've been doing a lot of coaching already virtually, more that I'm using Zoom, but I will also be doing more groups virtually. And so just wanting to learn what tools and tips I can to be as best of service as I can and make it engaging and smooth for people. And then the other thing I've been thinking about is, and I saw actually a post online today that others are doing this, is seeing if my choir, which has stopped meeting, could meet virtually. And I know there are perhaps many people in the group that aren't familiar with technology or Zoom. And so then how do you help people if we're all remote and you can't go over and lean over their computer? How do you help people who maybe aren't technologically savvy to be able to start using these tools so they aren't isolated and can connect more? So those are, I guess, my thoughts and questions. Thanks.
That's great. And I think it really links in a lot to, I'm just going to go, I think it was Annette had a question, how to prioritize which technologies to use. So like these are really big topic areas beyond just coaching. And some of you may know that 3 years ago, I published Effective Virtual Conversations, which really answers all of these questions. So grab a Kindle version, right? It's like 444 pages of how do we have conversations of different types in the remote space. I'll go into some really quick tips, and there is a whole website, so you can check out effectivevirtualconversations.com, and every Monday for the last 2.5 years, I've also done Effective Virtual Conversations tips. So just Google my name and Effective Virtual Conversations tips, and you'll find more. I would say if this is a key area, join me. I've got an 8.5 CCE approved program, a one-day. I'm going to be offering it as a one-day program next Wednesday on the 24th from 10 a.m. I believe it's 10 a.m. till 5:30, where we'll really go into all of this. Because it's one thing for us to use the tools. It's another thing to be facilitating people getting online. Because as much as we love Zoom, many of our organizations are going to be constrained in terms of what they can use as an enterprise. So they may have other agreements, maybe it's WebEx, maybe it's GoToMeeting. And so some of the things that we would typically use in terms of breakouts, in terms of annotation, it may or may not be activated. So to Heather's question, I think Annette's question as well, see where Annette, and Annette, you're right there. You just give me a nod if this is sort of it. It's like, we may need to do some like prep work individually or collectively with folks. And if you've done any of my reading, you would know that I always say meet with people one-on-one, even if it's a 10-minute one-on-one. If you have the chance, meet on that platform just so you can do some walkthrough and initial troubleshooting. Because what is frustrating for everyone as they transition to remote is like having to wait for the 1 or 2 people that can't get up to speed. So organizationally, is there someone who can facilitate or be like a producer? That's a term we'd use in the virtual facilitation space, a producer who could help you do that back end troubleshooting if you can't meet with people before the program. Otherwise, Heather, like if we use your example, someone hasn't used Zoom, they're not very technically comfortable, get them on the phone, start on the phone, and together you can then go on to Zoom and work together, sort of like troubleshoot that way. When you can, be proactive, right? Proactivity is so key in this space. And I say that as someone who has worked virtually since the 1990s, right? Like my former world of work, I had staff in 10 countries. I could physically get out to them twice a year. So much of my work was remote. And so we really want to be proactive in all of those elements. So with that, Annette, did you get what you needed? Just give me a quick thumbs up if that was good, or if there's something more related.
I live outside of Washington, D.C. here in the U.S. and my coaching clients for many, many years are government leaders. And
Yes.
So all those government agencies, like in Canada and other places, are working from home today.
Yeah.
So I've been using Adobe Pro Connect and also Zoom. But I was just curious on the level of Zoom. Like I don't want to run out of Zoom memberships because of the supply and demand. So as a coach, should I invest today in a more advanced level Zoom, price point wise?
Yeah,
curious.
well, just so you know, and again, if you're an ICF member, like check out their COVID-19 page. You'd see some of the videos I did. I did 3 videos for them a few weeks ago. And as we were planning that, they were also going to do a message around the Zoom. As a member, there's a member benefit as an ICF member. So if you purchase an annual, I think it's 10% off. Go to the member benefits page for ICF if you are a member. And then what I use is Looks like Elizabeth's got people. I'll just mute her. So Elizabeth, I've just muted you. You can unmute yourself if needed. With Zoom Pro, which is what I use, you can go in and activate your breakouts, annotation. These are a lot of the things we'll be using next week at the Virtual Facilitation Essentials so that you can see how they work and then get behind the portal. And that's that program I was mentioning. Regardless, think about the solution, right? Some of my clients in the last few years have gone over to the Zoom Enterprise solution because I've introduced them. They were on other platforms and they're like, oh, this is so good. This is exactly what we need. We're global. We need this. But for most organizations, they'll probably need to go on to an enterprise solution. And Zoom has done a fantastic job. I don't get paid by them, but they do an amazing job in terms of videos, tutorials. So to Heather's question, you could go back in and direct people, like for sound checks, direct people to the Zoom sound check. That's something that can go out as a pre-work, pre-instruction so that people have microphone ability. So Annette, does that help with some very practical
very
things?
much.
Yeah, because we've got like pretty much business across North America has shut down, right? And everyone is having to go virtual. So please tap into the resources, right? I've been ahead of the curve once again with 2 resources. So I talked a little bit about effective virtual conversations. The other book that I published last year is specific to virtual remote professionals. And this is a workbook planner called Plan, Do, Track. And so it is geared not for a coach, but for a virtual remote worker. And we've got a couple of other questions. I know Sue has just put one in chat. And Sue's asking, as I'm just getting started to doing coaching and using virtual conversation technologies at work, I'm wondering if there is a way to get information when I'm not working. I have a week off, and this is why I'm able to be here today. Glad it's valuable. And what I'd say, Sue, is probably easiest, most accessible place is go to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's under Jennifer J. Britton, and there are multiple playlists. So some of you may have found all my group and team coaching work. There's a playlist for Plan, Do, Track. And again, the Plan, Do, Track is for virtual and remote professionals, mostly planning, productivity, team, like remote team stuff. And then if it's a conversations, go to the effective virtual conversations. And all of these calls are getting recorded and uploaded as well. So tomorrow, I'm not here at noon, but you might also know that I am, I've started co-hosting a great podcast, if I do say so myself. It's called Remote Pathways. We started it in October, and we've just launched episode number 9. If you listen to podcasts, go to your podcast player. It's called Remote Pathways. And we're following the digital, what I call the digital dozen. This is a whole new body of my work that I started last summer. So the manuscripts aren't even finished. They aren't going to be finished anytime soon with all this work, but you can listen into the podcast and there's practical things there. So given that you've taken some time, we've spent about 15 minutes on questions. And what I do want to do though is take you sort of like behind the scenes into just a couple of exercises that I think will give you some additional thinking about what you want to do. So visuals, I put today's topic as visual anchors. Every day this week, there's been a different topic. So Monday was like trust. Yesterday was connection. Tuesday, I think, was conversation. And today is all about visual anchors, because something that's going to help create focus for a team or a group that you're working on are actually the visuals you're using. So with that, we've already touched on some of these effective virtual conversation tips, but I remember someone was saying, where can I get more resources? Check out EVC, Effective Virtual Conversations. And last night I posted this onto Instagram. For years you've heard me say, keep it simple, the complexity is with the group. I would say this is a moment where it's keep it simple, the complexity is everywhere, right? And I've led through crisis and disaster management. That was my former world of work with the United Nations. That was what I managed programs in. And that's actually where this statement came from. My 1990s, early 2000s work, we got to keep it simple, because everything from our emotions to like what's possible, we need to just simplify, simplify, simplify. So if there's one thing to take out of today's call, it really is asking yourself, what does keep it simple mean? in this moment with your clients. I'm showing you a lot of things only because this is a world that I live in, and pick one thing, right? Don't try to do everything, just pick one thing. So today we've picked visual anchors. And what I would say is visual anchors can look like a couple of different things. So what you see here are actually cards. Some of you may have created your own card deck. Respect intellectual property, okay? But you can be using questions to help people get focused. This is actually a deck that I launched back in the fall. It's a series of 52 cards that are journaling prompts. And they were originally done as like graphics. We then transported it into physical cards, and now they're available as a whole digital set. So let's say you're working with a team, like I'm thinking Annette, you're working with a team right now. How do you start a meeting? You know, is it important for us to talk about what our most effective or most important ritual is, right? We know in times of complexity, ritual, routine needs to happen. It's what keeps us grounded and moving as a team. So you could pull that card and again, you could show it, or you could actually have it on your slide, because that will create a focus for the people that we're working with. Now, my guess is you're also experiencing a lot of different emotions as well. So given that I've talked at you, which is not best practice in the virtual space, given that I've been doing the talking for a while, here's what I want to do. I want you to lean in, literally lean in to your computer. I'm going to expand this. And for us as coaches, it's all about the conversation. I want you to really think about the types of conversations you want to foster or spark with your clients right now. Sometimes it can be really useful to take a couple of minutes of pause and reflection. And so I'm going to start my timer, and I'd like you to just, for yourself, lean in and think about what is that energy, what is that image that you can be creating with your clients. So we'll just do this in silence. Got my timer started. What is it that you want to create? Is it a bit of fire? Is it being the phone box? What is it?
Sorry, Jennifer, I'm not quite understanding your question. Can you say, give a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, so for what you're creating with your clients, is there an image here that speaks to you about what you want to be like a lightning rod for, or what you want to be creating with your clients? So just look at the images, see what connects, and once you've got one, just take some notes. Do sort of a freestyle writing for the next minute. All right. So normally I would use an exercise like this at the start of a call, right? It's a good grounding, quick 2 minutes, get people here, get people focused. One of the things that we see in the remote space is people are coming in with all different energy levels. So really think about how you can be bringing people into that place of groundedness. This is a photo that I've gotten from a commercial license. So again, going to like business practicalities, you're going to want to make sure that you build up your image stock in terms of what you have access to. Now, if we were a group, it would be a great conversation point to say, hey, what did people choose and what did you use? I want to just bring to light one of the tools that you might have on Zoom. It is a tool you need to activate, and that is annotation. So we used it yesterday. If you were here with me yesterday, you know how to do it. This is your reinforcement. But if you're new to using annotation, what you'll do is you will look for, at the top of your screen, a little button that will say either View Options or Annotate. So if you can look to the top of your screen, likely you'll see something that says, you're viewing Jennifer Britton's screen. Click on that, and you may now see the drop down for either Annotate and or View Options. Once you've got either Annotate or View Options, click it, and then you're going to see a whole new like toolbar come up. And that will give you a pen, it might give you a stamp. I'd like you to just quickly share with us using that stamp or that pen, or chat if you still can't find it, that's fine. Just share with us what icon you used. Because in coaching, metaphors or icons or images are so key to our work. So grab a pen, grab a stamp, and start marking up on the slide, like we see some hearts. What is the image that you want or that you want to bring into your work? So we've got like a lot of blue sky, a lot of lovely horizon. We've got someone grabbing, it looks like the Eiffel Tower and a windmill. And what I'll get you to do is now turn to your chat and just share with us like one sentence around what that means for you. I chose fire, for example. And actually, when I went through my coach training back in 2002 or 2003, my future self's name was Fire. Bit of a diva, and like I see her coming out to still play many days. So share with us if you'd like in chat what's important about that icon, what it is that you want to bring in. I'm curious because a lot of you have all circled that one in the middle. Looks like a tree reaching up to the sky. So just take a minute and do that. Again, icons like this, if you get a commercial license at Adobe Stock, you can find lots of different imagery. This might be a stretch zone for clients, but again, people are coming and not necessarily always grounded. So a quick exercise like this can help. All right. So notice in the chat, we're almost at the end of our call for today. Some good questions as well. So Laura's asked, which Zoom allows raised hand? And again, that is, I know we've got a raised hand on mine. And it really is, I think that's a question for Zoom. Like ask them. I'm not sure if it's the meeting or the webinar. I've got raised hand in mine, which is the pro account, which is different than webinar. So how to shut off chat function from popping up with messages. I think, Heather, you can go in to your, if you are the administrator, you can go in and stop that in the Zoom account function, I'm pretty sure. So just, again, go to their website. Regardless of if you had questions, I hope that these images, so whether it was a tree or water, whether it is the collective solitude, as Dee Dee said, that it creates a grounding point. We are experiencing this, and I think the rest of the world is definitely experiencing this. As coaches, many of us have been in the space of remote for many years, so we're maybe a bit of ahead of the curve. Think about how you felt as you transitioned over into the remote space. So I want to say thank you. Maybe this gives you some ideas on things that you can be doing. Again, this would be more advanced, but you are an advanced group in terms of your affinity with the virtual. This is one of the many things that we're going to be going into next Wednesday.